Okay, I think I've solved the Beacon 1 crash. I'm like 90% sure. So, so from what I've tested, it's the game seems to only crash if BT tries to say the the caution, poisonous chemicals, voice line. If he says that after you embark and you gain control, then the game will always crash. If it begins playing before the embark animation finishes, then it will never crash. That's this voice line. So this voice line needs to start playing before the embark animation finishes, which means that on this save, I have a very convenient save here. On this save, if I embark immediately, like as soon as it lets me, it will pretty much always crash because he finishes the voice line that he's saying while I'm embarking. He finishes saying that until like after I embark, and now when he starts saying caution and about the poisonous chemicals, after about a second, the game crashes. If I'm on that same save, and I'm just gonna wait like 2 seconds, and I embark, he said the caution voice line before I actually finished embarking. No crash, right? I have an audio cue for this, but if you time it perfectly, this might work. You can tell it popped up the subtitle, but he didn't actually say that. If that happens, there's no crash, but the voice line effectively gets cut off immediately, which is kind of a cue for you to tell, like, you basically did the timing like pretty much perfectly. You did it pretty much as soon as you could without actually crashing the game. So there's two voice lines where you will need to watch out for this. This is the one, right? This is the if this is the voice line that he says when you're about to embark. After he says "well done," which in Chinese sounds something like "so there's a quick pause, and you want to embark pretty much on the next word he says after that. So you listen for the next word that comes after "so and that's your cue to embark. If you do it like in the middle of that pause, so if you do it too early, in this case, I'm just going to do it like in the middle of that pause, right here. This is crashing pretty much right after I gain control, right? So you can tell that's when he wants to say the caution voice line. There's another audio cue with a different line, which is this one. I have a whole separate recording of this. I didn't test this one as extensively, but the save I had for that one, I always embarked as soon as I could, and the consistency of crashing was like 80-20. It was like 80% of the time it worked, 20% of the time it crashed, which leads me to believe, especially because the subtitle pretty much always popped up, but I didn't hear a voice line, leads me to believe that save was pretty much right on the edge of crashing and not crashing. So the audio cue for that one is after BT's finishes saying his name, which is BT Chi or Chisu, and there's just a quick pause. But in that little pause right after he says his name, that's the audio cue to embark. Preferably a bit late in that pause to be safe. If you're like super fast, then he'll probably say the threat neutralized like way before he even reaches the spot. He'll like start saying it right around here, and you don't even need to worry about the audio cue, and you can just embark as soon as possible. This is probably worth for other people to test as well. Just to see if there's differences in my game versus your game. What I found out also is specifically the dialogue seems to only depend on how fast you get to the gate and like how quickly you kill the stalkers and how quickly you get back. Doesn't seem to matter quite as much. You'll want to do it quickly, of course, but the actual dialogue seems to be triggered like actually when you reach the gate and not when all the enemies die. I think it may be something similar to Dishfight, where the game only checks if all the enemies are killed after a certain amount of time after you reach the gate. That's what I think.